Hey guys, so what I'm going to do today is basically talk about purpose. And when we're talking about purpose, at least we find there's value in that word because we think there's a number of people who want to find their purpose. We also think there are a number of people who want to understand what purpose is. Like, what exactly is purpose? And so by finishing this video or this audio, we think you will leave with understanding what purpose is and then having insight into what your purpose is. Now, when people use the word purpose, what they actually, or like we said earlier, people want to know what their purpose is. But the question then, we would raise is, why do people want to know what their purpose is? Well, at least one of the core reasons why people want to know what their purpose is because people can, because if one is living in this purpose that they're asking about or seeking, they can see within themselves that they would be satisfied with their day-to-day life. They feel like their life, essentially almost like they're doing the right thing, or that, whatever they're doing is what they should be doing. Somebody who would not qualify themselves as purpose would likely have some doubt whether or not what they're doing from a day-to-day, perspective, or what they're working towards they wouldn't have the confidence that it's what they should be doing. They just wouldn't feel like that. And so when people use the word purpose, they want that confidence to know, yes, what I'm doing right now is what I should be doing. So that's an important thing to note. So then the question becomes, how do you know if what you're doing is, quote unquote, what you should be doing? I want you to take a step back and kind of reflect on your life. I would imagine that there have been times where you've, had a problem that you've been interested in solving, or something that you just wanted to naturally learn and understand, or something that you just wanted to do. And by you naturally having that problem you wanted to solve or naturally do, you probably just, gravitate towards doing that thing and solving that problem and learning whatever you had to learn. And you probably did it with, not a lot of friction. And you probably did it with enjoyment. And you probably did it with energy and with enthusiasm. You probably were excited to do whatever you were trying to accomplish. And now, if you reflect on that, isn't that actually when I just described purpose, what people are looking for? Isn't that what people are searching for? Isn't that what people want? To have that vigor, that enthusiasm, that natural energy to do something. We think this is important to realize because if you have that awareness, I'm actually just going to put forward to you that is purpose. That's what everybody wants. The issue is, and when it comes to this discussion, is it's kind of blown up and it's kind of made more. It seems more complex than that, but that's really what it is. Now, if we look at people who we, from the outside looking in, we think are purposed and living a life of purpose, what really is actually happening is that phenomenon that we just described, how an individual has natural vigor and enthusiasm to do things that they're interested in. People we think are living purpose, they were able to, sometimes unknowingly or strategically, able to orient their lives so that most of the things that they do and probably how they make money is geared towards what they naturally are interested in wanting to do or solve. And if you think about that, if somebody is able to live in that way, it's almost a competitive advantage, because that means majority of their life, they're always interested in what they're doing. They have enthusiasm. They're able to focus more. They're willing to, what some people will think grind. So to recap, purpose is actually just the phenomenon of an individual working on problems that they naturally want to solve. So putting their time and effort to solving those things. And it's a phenomenon because when an individual is doing that, is aligned with problems they naturally want to solve, their, what people may say, their higher self comes out. They're more energetic, they're more focused, they're more locked in, they're willing to focus more on the task at hand, and they're willing to sacrifice, and they're willing to do it, and they're willingly sacrificing with much stress or angst, because they're aligned and doing something that, simply put, they want to do. Robert Greene talks about this actually in his opening of his book Mastery. He literally opens up the book Mastery with a description of this phenomenon we're talking about, how an individual engaged in a task, how that brings out something in them that people think, wow, I had this in me. So the next question that I think we're going to close with is basically, so, having this awareness. Now the question becomes, okay, how do I find my purpose? But then remember, though, when we're saying, how do I find my purpose? It's really us saying, how do I find things that I naturally want to accomplish or solve and want to have natural vigor if I was to be engaged in that type of activity? And you actually might find it shocking, but there's a good chance that you actually are already living in that way, but you don't recognize it, or you want to live in that way. But you're pushing against it. You're fighting against it. You're not allowing yourself to go with that flow. There's a resource from he calls himself a high performance expert. His name is Dr. John DeMartini. And we've used his resources in the past, and some of his resources has actually helped our understanding purpose and the phenomenon of purpose. And he has an activity where he provides a number of questions that you can ask yourself and answer. And by answering these questions, you're naturally going to reveal to yourself the things that you want to do. Not that you might find that you're not doing them, or you might find that, wow, I've really been rejecting, what would be your purpose or my purpose. So we're going to share that resource in the links, and we recommend that you take it. And yeah, we think it's going to give you a lot of insight, and it's something that you can take periodically, because then the other important factor to realize is, as we age, the things that we're interested in, the things that we want to solve, the things that we want to understand, they change. They can change with the times. So what that's saying is our purpose can change with the times. When we look at some individuals who seem to have gone super deep in a subject, who are experts in particular areas, what we're really witnessing is an individual who has basically had some affinity or interest in a topic area. And what is happening is they keep solving many problems in that area. And after they solve one problem, they move on to the other. And after they solve that problem, they're interested in solving another. And the problems that they're interested in solving just all happen to be in a particular area, in a particular field. And because of that, their expertise is growing in that particular field. But you also have people who have knowledge in multiple areas. And so maybe they're not deep in one area, but they seem to have a wider breadth of knowledge. In the past, and I think even today, people call those polymaths, people who seem to have an understanding in multiple disciplines. And so what you're seeing there are people who have had interest in solving problems or understanding things in different areas, and they've allowed themselves to follow those interests versus trying to pigeonhole themselves to a particular area. And that pigeonholing ourselves to a particular area, it happens because
because, when we do look at the world and we do see experts in particular fields, it is something that, society seems to admire, right? Because I think we can recognize that building expertise isn't an easy task, and it takes something to be able to do that. And so because of that, that's something that's pretty respected. And so it's easy for us to want to be like that. But we can, by thinking in that manner, we can reject the fact that perhaps some of us our natural propensity is to kind of be polymaths and to have an understanding in multiple disciplines.